June 14th, 2022, started like any other day, but it changed my life forever. I woke up just before sunrise, around 5:30 a.m., to the soft glow of summer light creeping through my curtains. The air felt heavy, almost waiting for something to happen, though I didn't know what. Outside, the sky had a strange greenish tint, like the stained glass in our little church on Mason Street. I'd seen stormy skies before, but never one like this. My small house on Cedar Lane wasn't much. Just 2 bedrooms, peeling paint, and floors that creaked with every step. But it was mine, paid for with years of hard work and sacrifice. The real treasure was my garden out back, where I grew vegetables and flowers. Every morning, I thanked God for that patch of earth. Kept me grounded, literally and spiritually. That day, I followed my usual routine. Black coffee, dry toast, and quiet time with my worn-out Bible. The one my husband, James, gave me on our wedding day in 1975. He'd been gone 5 years, but his memory lived in those dog-eared pages, marked with highlighter, coffee stains, and tear spots from both joy and sorrow. I missed him, but I wasn't lonely. I had my faith, my garden, and the rhythm of simple days. Little did I know, before the sun climbed higher, everything I thought I knew about life and what comes after would be turned upside down. Every morning begins the same way for me. The rich smell of coffee brewing, the crunch of dry toast between my teeth, and the familiar weight of my Bible in my hands. That old book is more than just pages and ink to me. It's my lifeline, filled with notes in the margins from decades of learning and living. The coffee stains tell their own stories, some from joyful mornings, others from tearful ones. James gave me this Bible on our wedding day back in 1975. Even now, 5 years after he's been gone, I can still see his smile when he handed it to me, all wrapped up in brown paper. For our journey together, he'd said. Some days, when the loneliness creeps in, I open it to find comfort in those same verses we used to read together. My faith has been my anchor through all of life's storms, through losing James, through hard times, through everything. Simple, really. I wake up, I pray, I trust. That's how I've gotten by all these years. That morning, I was especially excited to plant my new heritage tomato seeds. Old Mr. Peterson at the garden center swore they'd grow the sweetest tomatoes I'd ever tasted. The soil felt perfect under my fingers, warm and crumbly, just damp enough from the morning dew. Martha waved at me from her rose bushes next door. We've been neighbors for 23 years, sharing more than just a fence line. She's seen me through my darkest days and brightest joys. "That sky looks mighty strange, Rose," Martha called out. She was right. That odd greenish tint I'd noticed earlier seemed to be getting stronger, like the air itself was holding its breath. I should have paid more attention to that warning. But I was focused on my planting, carefully spacing those precious seeds in neat little rows. Then it hit me, a sudden, sharp pain in my chest that took my breath away. At first I thought it was just heartburn from my coffee. But then the pain turned into a crushing weight, like an invisible hand squeezing the life out of me. My trowel slipped from my fingers as I gasped for air that wouldn't come. The last thing I remember is seeing those tomato seeds scattered across the dirt and that strange green sky swirling above me as everything went black. One moment I was lying in my garden gasping for breath, and the next, I was floating. It wasn't like anything I'd ever imagined. My body stayed there on the ground, but my soul, my real self, lifted right out of it. At first, there was this incredible light ahead, warm and golden like the sunrise after a long night. I felt drawn to it like a moth to a flame, but in the best possible way. Other glowing figures moved toward it too, and somehow I knew them without seeing faces, kindred spirits finally going home. But then everything changed. Instead of moving toward the light, I started falling. The warmth disappeared, replaced by a cold that went right through me. Down, down I went, into a darkness so thick I could feel it pressing against me. The air turned foul, smelling of sulfur and something worse, like burning hair and rotting meat mixed together. In the flickering firelight, I saw them, people I recognized from TV and magazines, famous faces twisted in agony. They weren't being punished randomly. Each one was trapped reliving their worst choices, their vanity and greed turned against them. A movie star endlessly signing autographs that burst into flames. A politician giving speeches to an audience of demons. It was then I understood. They'd traded their souls for earthly fame. Just when I thought I'd be lost in that terrible place forever, the darkness parted like a curtain. There he stood, Jesus, but no painting or stained glass window could capture what I saw. His presence filled everything with a light that didn't hurt my eyes but warmed my soul. When he spoke, his voice was like 1,000 songs and the gentlest whisper all at once. "Rose," he said, and just hearing my name from his lips healed places in my heart I didn't know were broken. "You've seen what becomes of those who chase the world's empty prizes. But your simple life, what you thought was poverty, has kept your soul rich." He showed me then how every small kindness I'd ever done, the vegetables shared with neighbors, the prayers whispered for strangers, the patience through hardship, had created ripples I couldn't see. "Go back," he told me, placing his hand over my heart. "Your greatest work isn't done. Show them that true treasure isn't in banks or fame, but in love given away." As the light grew brighter, I realized something amazing. He wasn't sending me back as punishment, but as a gift. My ordinary life was my mission field. The last thing I heard was his promise. "When you love the least of these, you love me." Then I was gasping awake in my garden, with Martha crying over me and the smell of tomatoes and earth in my nose. Heaven sent mixed with the blessed ordinary. The first thing I heard was Martha's voice cracking with panic as she hovered over me. "Rose, Rose, can you hear me? Stay with me now." Her wrinkled hands trembled against my cheeks. I blinked up at the same greenish sky, but now it was framed by Martha's tear-streaked face and the swaying branches of my old maple tree. My body ached something terrible, but my heart felt strangely peaceful, like I'd just woken from the most restful sleep of my life. The paramedics came rushing in with their bags and machines, their faces tight with urgency. As they loaded me into the ambulance, I kept smiling, couldn't help it, even though my chest still burned. At the hospital, Dr. Anderson shook his head as he studied my charts. "Mrs. Johnson," he said, adjusting his glasses, "by all medical logic, you should have died out there in your garden." He didn't understand that logic had nothing to do with it. I'd been given back my life for a reason. When I got home from the hospital, I looked at my little house with new eyes. That old television in the corner? I unplugged it that very day. Didn't need to watch other people's pretend lives anymore, not after seeing the truth about what really matters. My garden grew bigger that summer with extra rows for the food bank. Neighbors started stopping by, first for tomatoes, then for conversation, then sometimes just to sit a spell on my porch. The neighborhood children became my best students. I showed them how to plant seeds and wait patiently, how life comes from dirt and rain and time, lessons that work for souls as much as for gardens. On Wednesdays, my living room filled with folks from church, sharing stories and struggles over my homemade bread. And every stitch I sewed at the community workshop became a prayer, for the child who would wear the dress, for the family needing the quilt, for all of us just trying to make our way home. Funny thing, the less I had, the richer I felt. My hands stayed busy, but my heart stayed light. That television, never missed it once. The space it left made room for something better: real life, real love, and the quiet joy of serving exactly where I was planted. 2 years have passed since that morning in my garden, and I've come to see how small seeds grow into mighty blessings. My days are filled with simple things: kneading dough for Wednesday prayer meetings, showing little hands how to press seeds into warm soil, stitching patches on worn-out jeans for the school clothes drive. The funny thing is, the more I give away, the more seems to come back to me. Not money or fancy things, mind you, but something better: hugs from neighborhood children, jars of jam left on my porch by grateful neighbors, quiet moments of understanding with friends who gather in my tiny living room. When my grandchildren visit now, I tell them stories different from the ones I used to. Not about famous people or faraway places, but about the miracles I've seen right here, how a shared meal can heal loneliness, how a listening ear can mend broken hearts, how a tiny seed can grow enough food to feed a family. Their young eyes grow wide when I tell them about my journey between heaven and earth, and I see something kindle in them, not desire for worldly success, but wonder at the invisible riches all around us. Sitting here on my porch at sunset, watching fireflies dance over the tomato plants, I've come to understand wealth in a whole new way. That television I gave away? I don't miss the hollow stories of people chasing fame and fortune. The fancy clothes I never could afford? They wouldn't bring me half the joy of seeing little Miguel from down the street proudly wearing the shirt I helped him sew. The world tells us we're poor if we don't have new cars or big houses. But I've seen the other side, and I know better now. True wealth isn't counted in dollars or displayed on social media. It's measured in quiet moments of connection, in hands held during hard times, in knowing your life has purpose beyond what the world sees. My bank account never grew much over the years, but my heart? Why, it's overflowing. These days when I pray, I don't ask for more things. I give thanks for the privilege of loving and being loved, for the chance to plant seeds both in the earth and in human hearts. That's the lesson I want to leave behind when my time really does come, that a simple life, lived with love and faith, is the richest life of all. The tomatoes still grow sweet, the Bible pages still turn soft with use, and every morning still begins with coffee and gratitude. That's wealth no one can take away. Dear friends, if this video has blessed you, please kindly share it with someone you love. Also like and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. If you have any testimony you will love us to share, please kindly reach out to us on the comment section and we will respond as soon as possible. God bless you.